So we see this as being a really good cash generative, profitable business, which can be, expanded very quickly at low cost. It's really scalable at a low cost point.
Hello, you're watching Proactive. I'm joined by Light Science Technologies CEO Simon Deacon. Simon, very good to speak with you. Could you tell us more about that acquisition and how it shapes the business?
Hello, Stephen. Good to see you again. It really shapes the business as a group. It's a transformational acquisition. There's three acquisitions that we have done, two of which are in the contract electronics manufacturing, buying the remaining bit of the property that we don't own, and also the 10% minority of the business that we don't own. And it really wraps it up so that we can focus in that division on creating a base for the Injectaclad acquisition and a distribution center and a training facility. But also what it does, it means that we can, as part of our progress, we're investing into defense and medical side of the business, the market, and it makes us able to do that. So real transformational for the business. It's the Injectaclad acquisition is very much a profit generating business and cash generating business, and it gives us this unique opportunity to control, if you like, the cavity barrier market within tall buildings, high-rise buildings, which are at high risk. Which is, a really growing market with over 40,000 buildings which need remedial work doing to them.
Simon, you've raised £6 million and current shareholders have taken quite a bit of dilution. Can you tell us what the funds are going to be used for and why it's important for the acquisitions to be done now?
Yeah, the funds are going to be used for the acquisitions total £5.4 million. It doesn't all go out in the first year, but that's the total of the acquisitions, circa 5.4 million. We're going to use the funds for 3 million day one for the completion of the acquisition of Injectaclad. And we're also the 10% minority holding, and the building is 600,000, circa 600,000 in total. And then the rest of the funds are used for R&D, continue developing product within group, if that be an early warning system within a cavity for the pacifier, or our AgTech division in sensor development, which is 300,000. And we're also going to make do some work on the property side, which we set aside 200,000 for, so that we can make sure we can get those accreditations that we require for the defence market at our contract electronics site. We've also strengthening the balance sheet at this time at 1.9 million. One of the things that we've realized is, the larger contracts coming through, people look at our balance sheet, see if we can manage a larger contract, and we're coming across this more. So this will help conversion of our strong quoted pipeline within group, which sits a circa of £60 million currently.
And how about that dilution, Simon?
Yeah, the dilution was obviously not good for current investors. I'm one of them and taking probably the largest hit currently on dilution. So yes, it's unfortunate, but the time you have to make certain decisions in businesses, and the time is now to acquire Injectaclad and this acquisition that we're doing. The market's not great. When we went out on a roadshow, there wasn't a war in the Middle East. As we finished the roadshow towards the end, we woke up on the Monday morning or over the weekend, and there is a war and a conflict in the Middle East. And that hasn't helped in raising the funds. And I think, it just shows how strong of what we're doing in the market, that people have funded this business and where we're going, and do believe in it, because it's such a great opportunity. This business that we're acquiring, we're paying £4.8 million for it. But in a couple of years' time, that could easily be 20 times that in the market opportunity there is. So it was a tough decision. Dilution is heavy. I apologize for that. But I think the key thing here is you've got to look at the bigger picture, and we're all in it together. And I can see a great outcome in the medium term as we convert the quoted pipeline to this fantastic opportunity that we're doing.
Simon, can you describe the technology and what you think will underpin demand?
Yeah, technology of Injectaclad. We've been installing Injectaclad for just over 2 years, and so we've learned an awful lot while we've been installing it. There's probably been around 150 buildings which have had the Injectaclad material put in it. It's a graphite sealant material, which has been in the industry for some time, but more importantly, it's a patent protected product which is unique for cavity barriers. And what it does, it stops the flames and smoke spreading throughout a building, a tall building. And as you can imagine, that's super important. And as it heats up, the material heats up, it goes 20 times its size, filling any material which has been burnt away, like insulation, to the floor slab, so that you've got that protection up to 90 minutes, which is more than most requirements in a fire in a building, which is really important to make sure that you've got the right material in the building. It's been tested by Warrington Fire, over 45 different tests on different materials and structures. It's well known within the industry, and it's a really good, unique, patent protected product, which gives us, that really unique opportunity in the market to expand this across the country.
How will you grow market share, Simon?
Our focus is very much, we're going to support the installers. We're one of them, obviously. There is 12 other installers within the business. We want to continue supporting those. But our key aspect moving forward is making sure that we educate people and making sure we get specified. So if that be fire engineers, architects, the key stakeholders in any building, it's important that we get them involved, train them up on the product, and get those specified. All the buildings that we've done in the past, people have got a portfolio of buildings within their group to do. So in some cases, we see, companies set aside £50 million to do buildings. We've recently quoted a job in London where they've got 50 buildings to do, and two of them they've reskinned the building. And with our product, you don't need to reskin it. You don't need to take the facade down. What you can do is it saves the money. You can put this in within the building without taking the occupancies out of the building, but also it's much faster and much more cost effective. And in that instance, it was £10 million to replace the facade, as our quote was a couple of £1 million to put our barriers within the cavity to make it fire safe.
How much of an impact have BSR delays been, and are you seeing these being alleviated?
We are the BSR, it's been in a government department for some time, the Health and Safety Executive. It recently moved in January to Housing Minister side of department, so it's more independent. This is good news. We've seen jobs with Injectaclad specified being approved by the BSR. So the building safety regulator now is actually approving jobs with Injectaclad in it. Which is really good to see that coming through. So there has been a backlog, but we're seeing that now flush through, and we expect within this division where we've got 24 million quoted pipeline just in our installation side of the business to start being converted, and that's why we think it is the right time to do this.
Simon, how does the acquisition improve the group's margin profile, profits, and also cash generation capabilities?
So the acquisitions overall, from a contract electronics point of view, it's about moving into defence and medical markets. And so we've done those markets previously, but at lower tier, so lower tier 3 or 4, and we want to move up to tier 2s so we can improve the margin. It's really important in the contract electronic side. And in passive fire protection, we're seeing over 50% gross margin in our installation side of the business, but with actually supplying the material to the installers as well as ourselves, it's also over 50% gross margin. So we see this as being a really good cash generative, profitable business, which can be, expanded very quickly at low cost. It's really scalable at a low cost point, so that we can get through these 40,000 buildings with a market opportunity, addressable market of over £4 billion currently, which the government set aside over £6 billion to support owner occupiers of these buildings.
Simon, maybe finally, how will you achieve midterm revenues of circa 50 million pounds?
The group as a whole is moving forward well. There has been delays and because of the BSR, but we're seeing those being released. The government's got a plan to get these remedial works done in high risk buildings, and we're seeing those high risk buildings increase as time goes on. So we're seeing the conversion of the quoted pipeline in passive fire protection. We're also seeing it in ag tech. So, as the pipeline gets larger and the funnel comes through, we're starting to see that traction with the other installation teams with acquiring Injectaclad will actually generate that 50 million. And just to give you an example, a pump which actually installs the Injectaclad material and can generate currently 1.5 million in revenue. And there's 22 pumps in the market with the installation teams, which can actually generate a revenue of 33 million. We want to push that to 80 pumps as we see the market converting into forward orders. And that can generate over 100 million in revenue. So that's how we see that just within one division, how we're going to scale our revenue and profitability.
Simon, congratulations on these latest deals. I hope you'll continue to keep us updated with your progress.
Thank you very much, Stephen.
Simon Deacon, the CEO of Science Technologies.